if you go to tell me how the electricity in Egypt is working, the part of electricity is major, 90% is concentrated on all petroleum products, and 10% which it's the natural sources. If I talk about 10%, we talk about a part is not so big related to the high dam turbines. The second part is related to the wind power. The third was a solar power. So the three is contributed maximum 11 to 10%. But the major part was concentrated on the manufacturing of electricity is already just concentrated on the oil products and the specifically of the gas. If I try to also distribute what the percentage of that manufacturing to it, it's 60% of natural gas, 23% from the diesel, and the rest is 9 to 10% related to the mazut, which it's one part is important to produce the electricity. Now the story is completely different. We have a problem to import the diesel. So how I can deliver a part of major contribution related to the population from the diesel, and a part which is not so small, we talk about 23% to deliver to the electricity. So we have a problem now. We are struggling between the both two sides. The only one thing to do right now is to try to increase the probability to produce electricity from the gas. And the second thing is we try to find a way to make a cooperation.
What about natural resources?
The natural resources is not cured well in Egypt, if I'm talking to you. If you would like to go for this one, it's a little bit costly. But
why not starting to consider it now?
We consider
it's costly.
It's costly in that time. If I said in the beginning, if you have a forecasted well, you then consider you will have a problem now.
Exactly.
But
now there is the crisis already happened. We lack the funds, so how can we?
That's okay.
But we are still looking for alternatives, sir. I mean, there has to be a solution. Talking about solar energy, you said that the equipments are very expensive and costly, and it's going to take time until the result is there. And we are approaching the summer. I mean, we have already approached summer. So what can we do? I mean, when it comes to at least electricity, are there any quick alternatives that can be done? Okay,
but before to go for a quick solution to do and proceed with, we have a problem. Unfortunately, all our power plants nets supposed to be in a maintenance period at moment, because we have a long-term time, specifically the last 2 years, 2011, 2012, we then prepare and we then plan the maintenance program for all the power plants, which it's coming. And a problem now, if you continue with this year's intensively high consumptions of electricity in Egypt, and specifically the next summer. The problem to us right now, we shall stop some certain stations to just proceed with the maintenance program, which is needed to perform with another spare parts. We would like to send some turbine approved to just try to maintain, and at the end of the day, is mandatory to make the short in the electricity with the next summer. Is mandatory. It's not a matter because I don't have a sources to proceed with the power plants. The matter is how to keep these power plants in healthy situation, unless if you then go and apply the maintenance program. So it's mandatory to go with a maintenance program. This maintenance program is supposed to be within certain period of time, and specifically the very high consumptions rate by certain time, which is coming to that summer. Also the culture of all Egyptian peoples to use the electricity is not so okay. So we'd like to revisit again the way that the people is dealing with electricity, specifically if you have a huge number of air conditions, if you have a huge numbers of lights across one house, is mandatory to revisit that part again, which is one of the most important issue you put underline. The second is we try to carry on, because this is the last news between the power ministry and also the petroleum ministry. They try to combine some power plants to switch from the diesel to the gas, and the petroleum ministry would like to import extra amount of the gas to fill full. That's purposes of increasing the percentage of the gas to replace the diesel. That's a second solution. The third one, which is very important, we need to put a forecasted periodical plan to assure that within certain time that this station can work with the oil products till certain time. After that, within that time, we will assure that we finish the nuclear plant, which is our target. This is also mandatory to go further with the future requirements of the electricity in Egypt. So this is also one of the most important issues, to go with a nuclear technology, which it's add a huge value to stop this shortage of the electricity.
Well, sir, thank you very much for sharing the information with us. Professor Dr. Gamal el Kalyoubi, Professor of Petroleum and Energy Engineering at the AUC. Thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you very much for you. Thank you.
And now Dina Yunus is going to take us to the temple structures in ancient Egypt, which coincided with the functions needed to reach part of it. The gods' processions were considered the most important event that should be performed in elegant and simple way. Let's watch.
Dendera Temple is situated 60 kilometers north to Luxor, on the west bank of the Nile. Its original name in the ancient Egyptian language was Ta Netret, which means the land of the goddess, as goddess Hathor was worshipped here with her son Ihi and her husband Horus of Edfu. The main area of the temple comprises the wall, the main temple, 2 birth chapels, a mamizi, a church, a hospital, a sacred lake, and a Nilometer. Dendera Temple is considered unique in its constructions and also in its inscriptions, which are considered rare and historical. Dendera Temple is one of the most complete temples in Egypt, which structure helps in studying the factors that compose an ancient Egyptian temple. To begin with, all the main parts of the temple are situated on one axis that divides it by a splendid straight way that starts from the entrance until the sanctuary. This was a way used by the king to the god's chapel, and the way taken by the statue of the god on the shoulders of the priests outside the temple to welcome the king or to visit other gods in their temples. The religious ceremonies and the visits of the gods and goddesses to each other were important traditions in the Egyptian religion. The walk of the procession had to be straight, starting from the sanctuary and all the way out of the temple, especially if part of the rituals included carrying the statue of the god in a boat surrounded by priests and high officials. As the procession advanced in the passage, doors were closed behind it and doors were opened in front of it. The high priest was dressed in a tiger leather coat. Other priests wore wide white dresses and sandals. They were all bald, meaning that they shaved all their bodies for purity. The front open court of the temple is the widest part in it. The ancient Egyptians called it Waschet Habit, which means the festival's hall. Its design serves well the purpose of its construction, as it was built for the gathering of the people who participated in the religious ceremonies of the god, like the festival of the entrance and exit of the sacred bark, and the coronation of the king, and his transfiguration on known occasions. Some of the rituals of the Jubilee Hapset festival were celebrated in the open court, where the axis reaches its final point.
you.